So this week I kicked off my Cycle Lean project, an 8-week program to help cyclists lose weight and get stronger on and off the bike. As I am someone who likes to practice what I preach, I've joined them along the journey as well. My goals over the next 8 weeks is to document my progress with a weekly video series indicating what I've been doing over the last week and highlighting my training, highlighting the ups and downs, being transparent about my test results, my fitness results, and providing some sort of context and take you along for the ride as well. So basically, I'm going to run through what I've done in the first week and give you a bit of context in terms of my baseline measurements and what my goals are at the end. After looking at my baseline measurements, what my goals will be and how I'm going to go about achieving that over the next 8 weeks. Let's start off with my baseline measurements. It's really important that if you're going to start any program, you have some form of foundation and baseline measurements to compare your progress with. If you're looking to lose weight, as much as it might feel uncomfortable to weigh yourself or take progress pictures, they're part of the process in terms of understanding how far you've come, and also to understand if the process and the training and the diet or whatever it might be is actually working. If you can't measure it, you can't track it, you don't know if it's really working. You might feel a little bit better, but you might not have lost any weight or got any fitter. So it's really important to give yourself a week of just baseline testing. And that's what we do with all our clients. Is anyone coming onto the program, it's just a week of baseline measurements, getting an understanding of their challenges, what their goals are, what their weekly routines are like, commitments they might have to accommodate around their training, work, family, etc. And then that way we can build a good program that's going to help allow them to achieve the results that they're aiming to achieve as little friction as possible. There's no point giving someone a 20-hour week of training when they can do 10 hours or 5 hours. So it's really important to understand those concepts. So let's go through my initial baseline measurements. So what I did on this day, I did 2 ramp tests. I use a ramp test that is a sub-maximal ramp test on the Wattbike. I'm a big fan of the Wattbike, love training on it. And what they have, they've got like a health span, a health check, sub-maximal VO2 max test. And this is really good because it gives you an estimation of your FTP as well as your VO2 max. And this normally lasts around 10 minutes. It's designed to be sub-maximal, so working up to about 70% of your max heart rate or an RPE of 7. So just before you reach that max effort. And having spent some time at Wattbike, they actually told me this is just as good as an FTP test for a 20-minute all-out effort or a max ramp test. It's really easy to fit in. You don't always need to be doing those 20-minute hard tests. They can be quite intimidating before you do them, and the results can be based on how well you've fueled, how tired you might be going into the test. Where this test, 90% of the time, you'll be able to get a good result with very little lead up to it. So it's very easy to do. I've tried to get something a little bit more conscious around this when it comes to doing something similar on Training Peaks as well. But if we go through the results, be on screen for you to have a look as well. I got a FTP of 247, which I was very pleased with. I'm very hovering around 250, 260 normally, off the back of a holiday and a bit of summer training. So yeah, looking to be improving that over the coming weeks. VO2 max of 60, which is good, 60.74. That puts me in the top 90 percentile for my age. Massive correlation with all-cause mortality. The higher your VO2 max is, the lower your risk of dying from heart disease and stroke, probably even more significant than blood pressure and cholesterol. Really pleased with that one, and that gives me a better indicator of where I want to go over the next 8 weeks. Later in the evening, I also did a ramp test on Zwift just to compare. This was following my first 1-hour group ride with the Cycle Lean project. So we jump on the Zwift every Tuesday night and do our easy zone 2. So it's quite late. And I only got 225 watts on the ramp test on Zwift. Personally speaking, I'm not a big fan of it because of my results not as good as the bike test. This is back off after a long day of work, training. So I'm going to go with the higher one because I can tend to hit those numbers when it comes to the FTP I feel pretty confident with a higher number. I don't always fare well on the ramp test on Zwift. For some reason, it doesn't give me the results. Therefore, it always comes out a lot lower than what I can actually push on the bike itself. So yeah, but a little test to see the comparison. So that was my baseline fitness test. I'm not doing any kind of strength test with this program, just mainly looking at my cardiovascular fitness. And then it was important to do some body tracking. So it's really important to take progress pictures, front, side and back. Get all my clients to do this on a bi-weekly basis. It's very easy to be able to see changes when you've got pre and post next to each other, rather than sometimes we progress and don't realize how far we've come because we see it every day. We might measure it on the scales, but that's only counting for weight. The weight is made up of muscle, bone and water. So you might be a little bit more dehydrated, weigh a bit less. You might be needing the toilet, weigh a bit more. So understanding your body composition looks at your muscle mass as well. Muscle and fat weigh the same, and fat just takes up more space. So you're going to find that you're going to be a lot leaner potentially by building muscle throughout the program. I did that front, side and back, and also did some calculations in the gym with a body tracks, which gives me my body fat percentage, fat and metabolic age, which is good. And that came out as 68 kilos with muscle mass of around 59 kilos. Lost about a kilo since June, since the last time I had it done, mainly because I was probably doing more cycling, less weight training and a holiday. My fat mass was good. I think my overall body fat about 9%. Happy with that one. Fat, which is the fat in and around the internal organs, that was only 3. I like to have that below 10, so that's very good. Metabolic age of 27, considering I'm 42, coming up to 43. I'm quite happy with that one as well. So yeah, really happy with those baseline measurements. When I look at those, and when I look at some goals that I would like to achieve over the next 8 weeks, then definitely would like to aim for at least a 10 to 20 watt improvement on my FTP, and ideally build a bit more muscle and definition. So see if I can increase a bit more muscle mass around my chest and abdomen. Very happy with my physique, but just looking for little tweaks to add a bit more tone and definition. Been working on building a bit more strength around the chest area. That's definitely changed in the last few years compared to when I started weight training. So that will be the goal. Try to build a bit more weight, not putting on too much weight. Obviously, being a cyclist, you want to still be quite light, but maybe a kilo or two up to 70 to even muscle mass would be nice. So after that, I did some biomarkers, looked at my cholesterol and diabetes risks. This is something I also do with my clients because we want to look at the internal health. You might be healthy on the outside, but on the inside, you might have a higher risk of heart disease, diabetes, based on your blood numbers as well. So went through those and give myself some baseline measurements to track over the next 8 weeks. Total cholesterol was very good at 3.6. I like to have that below 5. My LDL cholesterol was 1.9, and we'd like to have that. This is in millimoles per litre, by the way. And we'd like to have that below 3. So very happy with that one. Certainly the lower the number, the lower the risk. My HDL, which is the good cholesterol, that came in at 1.5. We'd like to have that above 1. So very happy with that as well. And they're the healthy fats that remove the bad fats, the LDL from the arterial walls. Very much like a sync-on blocker to remove the fats from the pipes. Cholesterol ratio, very good. And that looks at how much good cholesterol I have in comparison to my total. I like to have that at 2.4, below 5. Mine was 2.4, so very good. Triglycerides, just the fats in the blood at the time of testing. I hadn't eaten much prior to the test, and that was 0.51. So I'd like to have that below 1 or below 2 if you've eaten. Blood pressure, looking to have that below 120, below 80 for an optimum ranges. Mine was 116/75. Happy with that. Resting heart rate 48. I like to have that between 50 and 100. So on the lower side, but if I'm quite active, it's understandable. And then did a Q risk, which looks at my potential risk for a heart attack or stroke in the next 10 years. And that was 1.3%, with the average for someone of a similar age like myself would be around 1.9. So my risk was lower than someone of a standard age. Very happy with the blood markers when it comes to my cholesterol and blood pressure. Then I went on to measure my HbA1c. Well, this looks at your average blood sugars over your last 3 months. We like to have it between 18 and 42. And mine came out at 39. The last time I had it measured, it was earlier in the year, came out at 37. So still towards that top end, which I'm not really too happy with. I'll be honest, I enjoy porridge every day. If you follow my Instagram, you probably see I post that every day. A lot of studies have shown that HbA1c below 35 down towards 30 certainly have a lower risk for all-cause mortality in the future as well. For me, this is not a concern, but something I'm mindful of. I definitely want to get this down over the next 8 to 12 weeks or leading into Christmas. This is September at the time of recording. So focusing on my HbA1c is going to be my key biomarker. Happy with my bloods when it comes to cholesterol. Just really need to drop the HbA1c a bit more. To do that, I'm certainly going to be cutting back on my carbohydrates on the days when I'm doing less physical activity. So maybe only an hour on the bike or weight training for a day. I'm going to be having less carbohydrates, more high protein, less carbs. Days that I'm riding longer hours on the bike, certainly I'm going to fuel well with my porridge and carbohydrates on the bike. But around it, really keeping those carbohydrates low, and also a lot of research I've done looking into this, keeping your carbohydrates low before bed can really help to minimize risk of any insulin elevation during the night, and keeping active and making sure you have good amounts of muscle mass and moving regularly throughout the day can also help. So my snacks also going to be cutting back on those sweet snacks, maybe late in the evening. That's my key focus when it comes to my bloods. I have looked at getting a glucose monitor, which is something I'm going to focus on in the next 2 or 3 weeks. There'll be a video coming soon of how I get on with a glucose monitor for 2 weeks to see what my insulin levels react to certain food types and exercise types. I might be interested in coming forward to give you a bit more context of that. So yeah, to round things up, my focus for the next 8 weeks is build more muscle and definition within my physique, add at least 10 to 20 watts of FTP, reduce my HbA1c down to low 35. If I can get down to the low 30s, I'll be really happy. And then stay consistent, document and track the whole progress, more for myself, but it's really beneficial for others as well. Just to give you a context of what things are going well, what things are going wrong, how you can adjust those and adapt to those. So that is going to be my focus for the next 8 weeks. And when it comes to training, I plan to do this weight training at least twice a week, as I do normally Mondays and Thursdays, increasing the weight on certain exercises a little bit more. Full body workout twice a week, hitting legs, back, shoulders, chest and core. Looking at more progressive overload going forward. On the bike, making sure I'm doing at least one hard interval session per week, a good long ride at the weekends. So making sure I'm out for 2 or 3 hours. If I can't get out on the bike with the weather in the winter, I jump on Swift for at least 2 or 3 hours as well. If for whatever reason I'm away at the weekend and I can't do my weekend ride, then what I'm going to do in place of that is 2 interval sessions per week instead of 1. So normally I would recommend for my clients only 1 per week would be enough. But for me, if I am not doing that long weekend ride, I am going to make sure I'm doing 2 hard interval sessions per week. And that can be a mixture of VO2 max intervals, threshold intervals, lasting anywhere from half an hour to an hour. So that is my main focus when it comes to improving my FTP. And then when it comes to my diet, high protein, low carb days, reducing my carbohydrates, especially in the evening. So making sure if I am at a bit of carbs, it's only a small amount with the meal. The majority is going to be protein based, very little carbohydrates in the evening. Walking regularly at lunchtimes, after meals, and reducing those sweet snacks that might come from chocolate in the day, etc. So hopefully things will go swimmingly when it comes to reducing my HbA1c. I am going to track and retest my HbA1c after 30 days. Studies have shown that HbA1c is pretty much based around 80% of it over the last 30 days. So having tested it just off the back of a holiday, a few more sweet treats while I was away, etc. Hopefully over the next 4 weeks, you'll give me an idea of how much I can shift it in a very short period of time. So if that's hopefully nudging down a couple points, then that'll be really good reinforcement that what I'm doing is working and I just need to continue with the process. So yeah, stay tuned. Each week I'm going to be doing a series of how I'm getting on. Next week will be week 1, how week 1 went, what training was like, etc. I'm going to be weighing myself on a weekly basis, taking progress pictures. So I'll see how my physique is changing. Obviously not going to be retesting too much on the FTP. Maybe do another FTP halfway through the program, maybe 6 weeks in. And like I said, a retest my HbA1c in a month, and then the glucose monitor be coming soon. So that's what we're looking at over the coming 8 weeks. If you've got any questions when it comes to the whole process, let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe and like the channel if you're looking to see how I get on over the coming weeks. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.